Hello everybody and welcome to Judge Mathas, the series where I take a look at video games and tell you whether I like them or I don't, and then proceed to tell you why. Today, we're taking a look at Apotheon, currently available on Steam. It's a 2D kind of exploration action platformer where you take on the role of a human who has been deemed champion of the gods by Hera, and you are heading into the Mount Olympus and fighting off the gods in order to bring peace back to Earth. Essentially, what's happened on Earth is that the gods have turned away, turned their backs on you, food no longer grows, fish no longer swim, and the sun is long gone, and war just ravages the world as the humans kind of take advantage of that and just destroy one another. Hera comes down, tells you, look, I don't like that Zeus did this, let's fix this shit, and deems you the champion, and you're like, okay, let's kind of do this. Sounds a little bit like God of War, but trust me, it's very, very different. It's interesting in what it tries to do. I have points that I like and points that I don't like, so let's boot up where I left off, and let's talk about the game. I currently am within Hades. I am in the underworld, this, that, and the other, and I just finished completing a couple of puzzles, and I was like, you know what? I've played a good chunk of the game itself. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So the first thing that anybody is going to notice when playing this game is the art style. There's no question about it. The game looks like old Greek art brought to life. Ooh, excuse me. Of course, as soon as I start recording, I have like a hiccup attack. But it looks like ancient Greek art brought to life. And that is obviously what they were going for. And they've done a fantastic job. It's probably my favorite thing about the game, bar none. The art style, the animations, everything just looks really, really good. And of course, the game runs really well, as you would expect it to in, you know, 2D exploration game. In the bottom, let's go over our HUD real quick, is our life, our armor. The green bar on the left is our stamina. We have what we're holding on our offhand and the Q button on the left. And then on the right, the four things we can equip to our main hand. 1 is a melee weapon, 2 is a ranged weapon, 3 is a thrown like projectile, and 4 is healing and all kinds of buffs and all that other good stuff. And then when you're on that item, you can use the scroll wheel and kind of pick what weapon you would like to use. Pretty simple, things make sense. Game's responsive, the controls work best on a keyboard and mouse. I did talk to Northern Line, he said playing on a controller is a fucking disaster. I've never done it, I will take his word for it. It plays perfectly well with a keyboard and mouse. If we hit tab, we can actually take a look at the map, and you might be looking like, whoa, that looks kind of Metroidvania-y. And you wouldn't be wrong to initially get that impression, because I did as well, but the more I played, the more I realized that's not really what's going on. The game just presents the map that way because it's the easiest way to present a world or a level that has a lot of verticality, a lot of depth. It's really pretty narrow, and the game is kind of shuffling you to one end to the other. There is a hub world where you kind of pick what level you want to go to, but you can kind of tackle them in any order, but the choice doesn't really matter all that much. There is a good amount of explorability within the game, but that's really, not a lot of puzzles and not a whole lot of backtracking. So for people who are like, oh, hey, you know, we'll grab some armor there. Let's go and grab the shield. Hey, you know, let's play a Metroidvania type game. That's not what's going on. So if that disappoints you, I apologize. So the game's main thing is we're going around and we're fighting things. As we're going to see, these guys are going to come to life, and we're going to need to fight them. They're going to kind of respawn. It's kind of a challenge. We have to stand on this button while these enemies keep respawning no matter how many times we kill them. We have to sit here until the door on the right-hand side completely opens, which is not that big a deal, but we can do it. So yeah, but fighting is the game's main attraction. We can click and we'll swing the weapon that we have equipped right away. We can hit control button and just do a bunch of rolls if we so choose. And that's kind of the basics of the game itself. Now, the variety comes in the weapons you end up wielding, which in a game where, you know, you're mainly looking to do a lot of fighting, where the game is basically saying fight all the goddamn time, it's going to be, you know, it's making it its primary focus there. You would expect it to be good, the weapons to feel different, there to be a lot of variety in the combat, and for, you know, to feel like you have a lot of options when it comes to combat itself. This is where the game starts to fall apart, and it's a shame because I feel like there's just a lot of potential here. The combat feels stiff. You might have noticed it there, but maybe I was standing on the button too much for you to realize. We'll go up to a combat. The combat feels incredibly stiff. We're heading into Hades now, it looks like. The combat is incredibly stiff. All the weapons don't really control well. You might see this little white marker on my map, on the screen. That's kind of where my character moves and looks, and he'll swing in the direction that you're holding it. So if you're pointing it up, he'll swing up. You point it right, you'll swing right. A lot of it ends up becoming spam clicking, which is a shame, because again, I feel like there was a lot of potential for this game to be amazing. Let's go ahead and pop a torch because it's getting dark. I don't think I can open that chest. This is just like little lore that you can read throughout the world. I think I can pop this open and grab some of this, so we will. We're actually hurting a bit, so let's go ahead and drink a potion. Beautiful. Anyway, so the combat feels really, really stiff. There's not a lot of variety here. There's no way to parry. There's only able to block when you're holding a shield. There's a weapon and durability into the game, so your shield and your weapons can only take so much damage before they end up breaking, so you're kind of stuck with that. But the biggest sinner is the fact that the combat just does not feel fun. It's janky. It doesn't feel right. You just feel like you're clicking a whole bunch and hoping that you're hitting something in front of you, especially when it comes to boss fights, which, you know, I've had one so far, and I kind of wish it didn't go the way it went. See, like right here, like it just feels janky, and he's rolling and stuff. You kind of have to roll as well. Get that ghost out of here. Come on. Like, oh, come on now. This is what I'm talking about. Like, you just have to kind of chase him and shit. It's really, really annoying. I don't like that that's how it works. And it's a shame because I think Ryan might say it if he does a video, but I know I was talking to him about the game. And he said it feels like Terraria, but worse, which is not a good compliment to have, especially when Terraria's combat's pretty basic. And I'd actually kind of have to agree. I think Terraria's combat actually can be a lot of fun if you have the right weapons and the right spells, but it is basic. It's really, really basic. But that game doesn't hinge itself on combat, while this game very clearly does. The game is very much all about the combat. What causes that? And I've been sitting here thinking, you know, before I was recording the video, asking, well, what's causing the combat to feel janky? Why does it feel not right? And it's a number of things in the game that's really causing it. For one, the fact that you just point and click in a general direction does not feel intuitive. That feels really basic and something you wouldn't want in a game that's your primary, you know, in a game where fighting is your primary focal point. You're looking to fight. Two, the weapons don't feel any different. As I was talking, you're looking, like I said, you're looking at hopefully getting weapons that feel different. The game, you know, increases the variety and all this other stuff. And you want the weapons to feel different. If I'm wielding a short sword, I want to feel like the sword is quick and nimble. It might not do a lot of damage, but I have a lot of variety and availability in what I'm able to do. The moves might be different than if I was wielding a great axe, where maybe the attacks for a great axe are really slow, but they hit really hard. The timing is just a little bit different from when the swings hit. It just doesn't, you know, you want that to be the case where each weapon does feel incredibly unique. What is the reality of it all is that that's not the case. I was just using a short sword and now I'm using a dagger, and the only real difference here is its range. The knife's range is really, really small. The moves are exactly the same. The windup is very minimally different. I'm not jabbing a bunch, and I feel like as a trained warrior, you know, I should. And actually, you can see the wind-up right now, but that's actually because my stamina is really low. I'm realizing. I'm like, oh, the wind-up's really slow right now, but it's because the stamina is really, really low. And that just, you know, that doesn't feel good. You know, you want something better. If we can get ourselves an axe, I'll show you what I'm talking about there. Can we go into the House of Hades now? We have to go to these little exclamation marks throughout the world. Hey, don't you dare eat my life. So these zombies are like trying to get my skin, essentially, is what they keep saying. So we'll go down here and see what we got. Again, fighting isn't exactly fun. I try to avoid it whenever I can. The only reward is gold, which we'll talk about later, which is, from what I can tell so far in the game, is pretty minimal. The damage is different, which is good and gives you a reason to use other weapons, but when the animations themselves and the moves, for the most part, are exactly the same, when you get a big weapon that does a lot more damage, you're gonna end up using that because, again, the wind-up is mostly the same. Like, it's very, very minimally different. The final thing that really hurts the combat itself is we'll go in here, is the momentum system. There's a weird momentum system where there's physics kind of going on here. You might notice that as I start to run, I start kind of slow, but as time goes, I actually move a little bit faster. Let's actually switch over to our shield here. It's really hard to see. Jesus. But when you are fighting... Oh, I don't think I'm actually taking damage down here. But when you're fighting and the enemy has more momentum, or some of the enemies get really, really wily, and can end up moving a lot faster than you're prepared, keeping up with them becomes a problem. And now you're not only fighting with the mechanics of the particular weapon being really slow and hitting really slowly, but the momentum itself of your character is working against you. It's fighting you in its own weird way. All these things together, the spam clickiness, the inaccuracy of your character. I guess we're gonna be doing this. And I think that wall down here. Yeah, I'm burning to death. That's what this fire is. We're kind of racing the fire here. We'll pop this. We'll just ignore him. This is one of those levels where they actually kind of want you to avoid fighting, which is totally okay by me. As you can see, your character will stick to certain walls. If you can't make a jump, your character can stick to a wall and kind of get a double jump off of that, which is nice. I appreciate that. Platforming works fine. There's no real problems with platforming at all. So we got to hit this. Let's get out of here. But yeah, the inaccuracy of the way the guns fire, oh Jesus, that's a flaming sword we're gonna miss out on, but I'm not really worried about it. The momentum and just the spam clickiness of it all really hinders the game, and it's a shame, like I said. Come on, man. Climb, climb, climb. Go ahead and down that. Oops, excuse me. And we're on a shield. We're stuck on the dude's shield. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. I don't know what I'm getting hit by, but I think it's both the enemy and the fire. Into Hades we go. All right, we completed that objective. One of the 3 objectives we need to complete to open the door to Hades' house. But yeah, anyway, back to focusing on what I was trying to say. I apologize for kind of being all over the place there. It hinders the game. It hinders it because they rely so heavily on the combat aspects of the game that when the combat sucks, it makes the game not so good. And it hurts too because like I was saying before, there's a lot of potential here. The world is really kind of cool and unique, and I personally love Greek mythology. It's something that I was a part of. One of my favorite things in history class, and when I went to college for history, is one of my favorite things I studied. And I think there's always like infinite possibilities for awesome storytelling when it comes to the gods of Olympus, because the gods of Olympus don't give 2 flying fucks about you. That's the thing. They would rather just they're basically what humans would be if they had godlike powers and were immortal. They get bored, all they do is fuck each other all the time, and then they fuck with humans when they get super duper bored. So yeah, it sucks when that's the combat in a nutshell. It's really, really poor. And as you're gonna see me struggle now, because now I actually have to do combat, it looks like. There's also a lot of collecting, and there's some crafting. Crafting works well enough as it is. It's just to collect crafting consumables like healing potions and stuff, which is what collecting oils and little plant parts are for. There's also a shopping mechanism where you can buy upgraded armor and buy better equipment, like defensive equipment, with the gold that you collect. But generally speaking, oh Jesus, oh Jesus, oh Jesus, we're gonna die. I don't know where I am. I'm dead. I drowned. I don't know where I was. I think I got overwhelmed by people under the water. So we'll have to reload and start doing that one again. So we'll go ahead and do it. I don't think we'll get another boss fight here, but the boss fights just feel like prolonged normal fights against enemies. So take that as you will, aka not a very good thing. Ryan was talking about how he beat a boss just by throwing rocks at them because it was easier than actually doing the melee attack in the game. And there's obviously a lot of love and care and attention put into this, but I feel like the combat, I don't know, was it second thought? Or is it just such a subtle thing when it comes to the differences in weapons that it's too hard to notice? Go ahead and knock them out. Like, you have these weird moves where you actually, like, swing up. There we go. I think if I do a wind-up, like, I can do that and just knock people off like crazy. Gotta keep an eye on my health. Let's go ahead and pop a potion. Ooh, some health up here. Yeah, this is like a wave-based combat. Grab some extra potions. This is kind of actually ridiculous. Are you kidding with that nonsense? So let's go ahead and throw a projectile on them. Works for me. And we're already about to die again. Yeah, and this is really highlighting why combat is actually kind of such a pain in the ass. It's not good. It's too simple, and when combat is simple, it's fine if the combat is responsive. It's not responsive. It doesn't feel good. Everything about it is not endearing whatsoever, and that's a problem, like I said, when combat is your main... Oh, for fuck's sake. When combat is your main focus. There we go. So let's see if we can make it to this last part here. I would like to. Actually, let's go ahead and go into our crafting menu. We can show you crafting. So crafting is very simple. Here's your supplies. Here's what I can make right now. I'm gonna make a bunch of these and a bunch of Greek fires and hope that's gonna be enough. Luckily, the game, you can like craft and pause the game. Oops, I did not mean to do that. I drank something weird. Well, we're out of melee weapons. So that's the other thing that I have kind of a problem with in the game is the game, it relies on something along like a weapon deterioration system. The more you use a weapon, there we go. The more you use the weapon, the more the weapon deteriorates and gets broken. This actually works with shields as well, which is a huge problem. A lot of the time, the game will throw you things, and I probably should have used a shield there, but I didn't really want to use melee. The game will throw enemies at you that are either outnumbering you, or they will be tons of ranged, and you have no choice but to really do a lot of blocking. And if your shield breaks, you're shit out of luck, and that's just how the cookie crumbles, man. There's nothing you can do about it. I wish there was more to it. I wish the combat was a lot more. And if you want to keep combat simple, it makes sense. You can keep combat simple. I get it. I understand. You want to keep it simple. I would do what I suggested before. Every weapon feel entirely different. A different move set. First of all, make the combat not look like a Terraria style combat. Maybe a little bit more animation, and just making it generally a lot more responsive would have been nice. But have each weapon be completely different from the last. As it stands right now, they're just minor differences between the weapons. Whether you're wielding a dagger or whether you're wielding an axe, there is very, very little in terms of differentiating features to them, and that's like kind of a problem. And I wish it wasn't so. And that really brings the game down, because as far as positives go, like I said, I like the way the game looks. The story is really cool. The world they set it in is really neat. It's simple premise. Go kill these certain gods, or go fight these gods and force them to help you. Whatever you end up doing. It's simple, but it works, and it especially works in a Greek storyline when the Greek gods are involved, and that's pretty much all they fucking did anyway. Was, like I said, kill each other and fuck each other. So it's a simple premise for an otherwise pretty interesting story. There's too much fighting in a game where fighting sucks, and that's really what it boils down to. If fighting was secondary and exploration and there was other elements to the game, that would be fine. But as it stands, Apotheon is just, in my opinion, not necessarily worth picking up. Of course, if you like what you see, obviously the link to the Steam page will be in the store, the description below. I'm curious what you guys think of the game itself. I just am not a huge fan. And it's a shame, because I really want to be a big fan of this game. This is a game I could have a lot of fun with, and it's just not happening, unfortunately. And that's another thing too. There are a lot of these areas that are super dark and force you to have torches. When you are using a torch, you can't use your bow and arrow, so they immediately limit you on what you're allowed to be using for weapons just by doing that. But you can break a lot of this stuff and pick up stuff and craft things with it. Oh well, it is what it is. Hey, we got our sword back, which is nice, so let's go ahead and use that. But that'll wrap up my quick look here. My Judge Mathas here on Apotheon. Not a lot to discuss because it's a pretty simple game, and I wish it was a little bit different. Combat is a fucking mess, and I wish it wasn't, because it really brings the game down. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more Judge Mathases, let me know. It's good to bring the series back, at least to some degree. And consider dropping a like, comment, all that good stuff, because your support helps me out a ton, and it means the world to me. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.